Hi, everybody. Happy Tuesday to you. A little bit later than normal at half 11, but here we are with Martin Davey, one of the two Martins from G2 Films, and a really Martin. Thank you for joining me. But I was going to say you're a really good old friend, but I don't want to kind of like go with our age and how old we are to people. But I've been doing these for a long time, and I do them with new and interesting people and some people that I've known for a while. And it's always really comforting for me to have a guest on who I've known for a long time, because it's also a chance to catch up. I've known you for probably over 20 years now, around that mark.
Yeah,
Yeah, I consider you a really good friend and a fellow Arsenal man. So I'm really glad that you could join us today. How are you doing?
very well, thank you. Under the circumstances, yeah, it's a dynamic, changing world out there, and it's not without its challenges, and the
Yeah.
goalposts keep moving, especially
Yeah.
the Arsenal goalposts. But yeah, we're doing fine, thank you. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm really good. It's funny because, um, as a Canadian living in London, people are always like, "Why did you come here? Why do you come here? The weather's brutal." And then where I was just last in Toronto, like they just got dumped 40 centimeters of snow the other day, and I'm sitting here just overlooking Soho Square, and it was really nice and sunny. It's getting a little bit cloudy, but I'm really good, thanks, buddy. For the community, that you do know. Can you introduce yourself and a little bit about you and what you do?
Sure. So, firstly, thank you for having me on. It's very kind of you to invite me. What do we do? We do moving stuff. I think that's the most important thing to say. So we started our business just over 10 years ago now. It's hard to believe.
Mm,
And I can probably go into the chronology of that a little bit later on. But where we are right now is we're a film production agency. We moved to Southwark just over 5 years ago, and massively enjoy our time there. It's a great place to be, both from a business perspective, but also from a personal perspective. And we produce films, animations, commercials, anything that moves on screen for a massive, massive range of customers all over the world. So we're headquartered in London. That's where we're based, and I live just outside London. We also have an office in New York, which is great fun. And I managed to actually visit it for the first time in just over 2 years, just before Christmas, which was really cool. We've managed to keep trading the whole time, but I just haven't been able to be there. And yeah, we basically try and solve people's communication problems, whether that's a massive multinational, whether that's a startup, across a whole wide range of business verticals. Travel and tourism, automotive, IT. Yeah, so it's a very diverse, very fast-moving world, and yeah, the events of the last 2 years, I think, have put a real lens on that for us as a business and for us as people as well.
yeah, we can get into that as we go along, but it's always really interesting when somebody comes on and they says that they're in the film or moving image or video world, because it's one that has its kind of immediately, oh, your eyes go wide. What a glamorous industry it is. And it's funny because where I am today, where we work from, is the House of St. Barnabas on Greek Street. And there was a whole film crew out here
Oh,
yesterday
you're right in the
filming.
middle of it in Soho.
Yeah, we're a moving film set, right? And
Yeah.
everyone has this idea of how glamorous and cool it is. And we can get into that too. But I want to know, how did you start? Where did the passion from moving image and film come into your life?
Like most of these things, it's a massive sliding doors moment. My background is business. I studied business studies, then got into marketing, and one of my first jobs was with a film distribution company. And that led me through a very convoluted set of circumstances um, into production. The company I worked for distributed films, then they had the opportunity to make a film, and I got involved in that process, and I really, really liked it. I then left that business and started my own company, which then ran successfully for a number of years. We then sold that business to a large Covent Garden based production company, And for me, that's when I kind of lost the magic. Being part of a big organization wasn't right for me. I'm not good with authority, as you know. And I spent more time filling out spreadsheets and worrying about HR issues, which of course are important, but not my strong suit, than I did about delivering great results for clients and making stuff happen. So at the height of the recession, my now business partner and I, who was a freelance cameraman for the business, decided that we'd give up our well-paid jobs and go home and tell our wives that we were starting a business. So that, as you can imagine, went down really well. But joking aside, it's the best thing we ever did. We are, masters of our own destiny. We can do what we're really good at, which is firstly creating great relationships with people, and then delivering on promises. Making pretty pictures, making something look quite nice is actually not the hard part. It's getting those relationships right, knowing people, understanding people, having what I call good pub skills. So being able to adapt your approach to a wide range of people. You can be dealing with the CEO of a FTSE 100 company one day, and of the guy who sat there in jeans and t-shirt the next day, having just started up a brand new business and not knowing where his next meal is coming from. And you have to be able to work with all those people and everything in the middle. And, we're very lucky. We've got great people who work with us. We've got a great set of clients. And it's not without its challenges. And as I said, the last couple of years have really accentuated that, but it's a good place to be.
Well, you mentioned that you lost the magic when you were working with the big corporations. What was the magic? What was the thing that's what I want to get to, is where, even before you started you sold your business, what's the magic? What does it feel like in your body to be able to create something
making a difference and seeing a client come in on, they'll ring us up and say, right, we've got this issue, we've got this problem, and what they give me is that. And then 1-2 months later, to see that film running and for them to go, that's it. That's the special sauce for me. That's what gets me up in the morning. Money's important. Of course, money's important. We have a business to run. We have salaries to pay. We have bills to pay. But that feeling of actually contributing to something rather than just going through motions or being in an admin role, which of course is really important. And luckily, we've now got a team of really different skill sets, and we've got people who really love doing pre-production, people who really love shooting and who love editing, who love animating. And I've been through all of those areas. My first job in the industry was a cameraman, and I trained as a cameraman. Then got sick and tired of being outside in the cold and people shouting at me out of windows in Greek Street. I then moved into the edit function and edited for a long time. And then by a fluke of accident, somebody says, we need someone to direct a shoot. Can you do it? And I went, yeah, how hard can that be? And it turned out it actually was quite hard. But I realized then that is what I want to do. So that's now my role within the business, as well as, being responsible for the overall running of the company. I'm the creative director of the business, and it's my job to take that blank sheet of paper and to turn it into the 90-second film that runs in front of you.
It's interesting that you speak about how you started off as a cameraman and you moved into editing. And I think about the difference between, say, a proper film crew that were out here the other day with grips and gaffs and DOPs and assistants and executives. And, there was a lot of people to make something that looks quite, and then this kind of thing has come in and revolutionized everything too. Let's go into kind of the traditional aspects of film production. Is there still a magic in that? Is there still something that I know people are not maybe necessarily doing on Super 16 or 32 mil or anything anymore, but is there still a magic in getting a team of people together?
I think everything is dictated by budget. Everything's dictated by money. So if you want to make the new Mercedes-Benz, that's going to be either shot on film, or it's going to be shot on an Alexa, or it's going to be shot on Red, or high-end cameras that involve 2 or 3 people just to operate the camera. You got your DOP, you got your operator, and you got your focus puller. So just to get the camera moving, you've got 3 people. Then you've got a plethora of other people involved in that level of production, and that very, very much still happens today. Have a look out the window. I don't know how many people are out there, but that could just be one scene in one TV show, and it's no coincidence that these big productions cost millions and millions and millions to make, because there's still so many people who have specialist jobs. Now, at the other end, as you quite rightly say, you have this thing, which is a blessing and a curse. It's been an absolute blessing the last 2 years, I can tell you that, because otherwise we may not have had so much to do. But making, as I said earlier on, making something that actually looks good is really not what the major challenge is. It has to work for the client. It has to be effective. And when we get a new commission, right at the very start, I always ask the client 2 questions. Number 1, who do you want to see this? And number 2, once they've seen it, what do you want them to do? And that could be a multitude of things. So who do you want to see it? They may have it may be a B2B project, where there's one business trying to sell their services to another business. It could be consulting. It could be whatever it is. You want a certain person within that organization to see that film. And it's not just saying, oh, I want the C-suite to see it. I want the upper management to see it. Do you want the CEO to see it, or the CFO to see it, or the CMO to see it, or the CIO to see it, or the CDO to see it? All these different roles, very, very different. And knowing who you want to see that film will determine how you deliver it. So does it go out on a microsite? Does it go out? Because everything's online now. Even stuff that's not online ends up online. So that will dictate how you deliver it. Does it go on LinkedIn? Does it go on YouTube? Does it go on Facebook? And for every one of those, you have different parameters. So I can't make one film and put it on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and expect it to perform across all 3 platforms, because we know, our experience tells us, that if you want to optimize something for Facebook, it needs to be about 45 seconds, after which you can just forget it. If it's on Twitter, it's going to be 15 seconds. Then you get Insta, and you get. So the platforms and the ways of delivering the messages are becoming more and more complex. And it's up to us also to understand these and to guide our clients, because sometimes they don't know either. So that's, who do you want to see it? Once they've seen it, do you want them just to have a warm feeling about you? Do you want them to go out and pick the phone up? Is there a call to action? Do you want to get them to go to a website? Do you want them just to, next time they're, if you've got a McDonald's ad, do you want them to rush out and buy a burger now? Or do you want them, next time they're walking down the street and they've got Burger King there and McDonald's there, to go, oh, remember that funny ad? What do you want? And that's become a very large part of our job. So even before the camera comes out the bag or the first pen goes on the storyboard, it's getting all those questions answered up front, because I've seen so many brilliant films, beautiful, brilliant films. And at the end, I just look and say, I've got no idea what I'm meant to do now. Don't know.
Yeah. I think that's the whole idea of, like, I know people talk about wallpaper. You say it's really easy to make something look pretty. That's kind of wallpaper, good looking stuff. But for it to have some kind of narrative or substance,
I think it's that. And it's also, the digital world is really noisy, and you've got to have some cut through, and you kind of got to reward your audience for watching what you deliver them. There's an old hackneyed saying, is you want to make the Sunday night experience like the Monday morning experience. So if you'll sit and you'll watch a 60-minute film on hockey on a Sunday night, because I know you will. If I'm trying to sell you something, I can't make you watch 30 seconds of it on a Monday morning unless it's relevant to you. So I have to know you, and I have to make it relevant. So data is hugely important. We're working on a big project now for a large infrastructure project where it's all about collecting data from people to deliver a better service. And that's really the same with making content. You know, you have to know who you want to deliver it to for it to be effective. You got to know what their buttons are.
And I'm also the process in making this. I mean, you as someone who's been on that kind of the coal face and the front line of producing this, so you see all the different aspects of the people who have things to contribute. What are some of the more frustrating aspects of producing something for a large corporate client where you've got all the C-suites having a say in things?
It's the customers, followed by the customers, followed by the customers. That's not strictly true. I think there's one of the frustrations for me is how social media is perceived to be the driver as opposed to content. We had a project a few years ago now where we delivered one film and it got about 20,000 clicks on YouTube. So the client saw that as a really successful piece of work. We did another one and it had 5,000 clicks. And the client, well, that was just, that was a really poor film, didn't work. I said, well, how do you mean? They said, well, the first one had 20,000, that only had 5. I said, okay, so how many of the 20,000 bought the product and how many of the 5,000 bought the product? Well, I don't know. Then you don't know if it's been successful or not. Of the 20,000 who saw that film, none of them may have bought it. Of the 5,000 who watched the second film, 5 might have bought it. In which case, the second one's actually 5 times more successful than the first one. But it's this somewhat blinkered view of clicks, likes, loves, shares that can be a real barrier to a good campaign. And I see that with younger people today and their relationship with social media. I've got to get a click, got to get a like, got to get a reach. It actually means nothing at all.
No, that's what all those platforms are designed for, is for clicks. They're not designed necessarily to sell products. But
correct.
I'm really interested to know, because as you speak about, how clients get involved and they're like, oh, if this isn't this and this isn't this, but also in the production stages or in kind of your first and second edits. What are some of the kind of fun comments that you've had from people saying, we'll fix that in edit, and can you do this, and can you change their voice to this and this and this?
I don't know what I want, but it's not that. That's a good one. We've had, and I know, there's loads from our own experience and also from anecdotal evidence through friends of mine. Why can I hear the editor mumbling in the background? No, that's the production music. You haven't licensed yet, and it's got an audio signature on it. Why does he keep saying audio network? No, that's the music that I've told you before. When we come out of when the elevator opens and we come out the elevator and we see the reception area, can we see a different reception area? That's your reception area. When the helicopter goes down the strip in Vegas and turns right, can it turn left? No, it's a stock shot. That's what the helicopter does. And there's I can bore you with thousands of these things.
It's not boring. It's funny. It's funny.
Normally Christmas time, these things tend to be circulated. But it's you have to, sometimes it's easy for us, and like you, when you were involved in broadcasting back, I look back to those heady days in Docklands. We understood the process. We knew exactly what we were doing, and you have to forgive people who don't, and that's. But the best clients for us are people who just let us do our thing. You employ people to do a job, and you employ a professional, and we have had it on occasions where we get about 6 directors on a shoot, and that can be quite painful. Rather than people feeding back and letting the director direct, that can be a frustration. We're very lucky that we've got a great set of clients who actually trust us and let us get on with the work. But it's not without its moments sometimes.
I think it's fun. It makes me laugh. I'm glad I don't do that stuff anymore.
I do miss the live sometimes. When live is good, live is great. That buzz of knowing that whatever you do now, a lot of people are going to see it, and you can't change it. That's when it's going well. When it's going good, it's really good. When it goes bad, it can be the worst thing in the world.
That's why I always like doing these Facebook lives. I know that at the time that a lot of people watch it when it's being replayed, but there's something about the fact that it's live that just gives me that little sense of, you have to watch what you're saying. You have to be really kind of cognizant of everything that's going on. And I do like doing lives too. I think it just creates that little bit of a buzz and energy around this is going out there. So you mentioned about some of the clients. You've got great clients to work with. Who are some of the people that you've worked with over the past that you can tell us some that you've really been fun working with, and some of the projects that you'd really go like over the last 10, 20 years really kind of stand out as a highlight for being able to work with?
Yeah, I mean, we work in, as I said, in very, very broad range of disciplines and across lots of different business verticals. What's been great for me has been the ability to travel. And the ability just to experience things that I wouldn't normally experience, meet people from different walks of life. You can be, as I said, with the CEO in the middle of his office in central Manhattan, and then I've been in a fish market in Panama with a chef who's looking around dead fish for the best one for his catch for his restaurant, and kind of everything in the middle. We've shot some great travel and tourism stuff. On cruise ships, at airports, in various locations around the world. We've worked on some big budget automotive projects, car launches. They're normally very stressful and very exacting. The client normally knows exactly what they're looking for, exactly which shots. The car's got to be set up right, the suspension's got to be right, you've got to be a certain height, because cars look very different if you're low down looking up at a car than if you're above the bonnet looking down on the car. And there are some cars that you can look at them, and not even from the front and the back, because some cars look beautiful from the back but are butt ugly from the rear. But even if you go out today and try this, look at a vehicle 3/4 on. So this is the front of the car, so look from that angle here, 3/4, and look really low below bonnet level at the car, and then look at bonnet level at the car, and look above the bonnet looking down, and you'll see 3 completely different vehicles. So getting that sort of stuff right is fun, can be a challenge, especially when it's a new launch of a car, because you've got to do it in clandestine. We've closed roads and closed areas of London off to bring the car in under a tarpaulin. You take the car out, you drive it around, you put it away again, you take it away, and there are people watching out for snappers. And
what car was that?
That was a Rolls Royce.
Oh wow! Did you get to sit in it?
Yeah.
Did you get to drive it?
No. That's one thing we can't do. They have their own drivers for these shoots, who not only know the vehicle inside out, but also are the right look and feel for the car. You couldn't see me driving a Rolls Royce, mate.
No, buddy, I can't see it.
On so many levels, you couldn't see me driving a Rolls Royce.
You say that now, I'm just trying to picture you in a car.
Yeah, there it is.
I don't know if I can picture you in a certain type of vehicle. It would be a 4x4, I think. I don't know.
I've got a 4x4.
Oh, really? I was thinking a Toyota Land Cruiser or something like that. That's kind of
it's slightly close to home.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about you guys and where you are now, and how you talk about how experienced you are in terms of really being able to help a client, hold a client's hand through the whole process. That really is kind of stepping into agency work, isn't it? Like a lot of people. So it kind of clients will go to agencies will go to film or production companies.
Yeah.
Do you think now, because of your experience, I don't want to try to say that you can cut the middleman out, but that you guys can,
as I said earlier on, but upwards of 70% of our work is direct to client. So we have good client relationships. We do work with agencies, of course we do, but we actually market ourselves as a business as a production agency, not as a production company. So if you just want to turn up with a camera and say, right, what am I shooting today? That's probably not right for us, because we can't offer any value. How we've been able to get to where we are today is to market ourselves to production agencies. Within our business, everyone does what they're good at. And years and years and years ago, somebody said something very, very wise to me. I used to be a terrible man manager. I used to be a complete control freak. I had to have complete in-depth vision and knowledge of every single facet of our business, to the extent that I wouldn't let anybody else open the post. It was because I was used to being that micromanager. But somebody said to me, look, if you have somebody in your organization who can do what you do 70% as well as you think you can do it, allow them to do it. Because all those little 30% you have left over is the value that you personally add. And it's really, really sage advice. And we now, the guys who work with us now have pretty much free reign. They can, we let them do their thing. We have a vision. We meet, we communicate well. I mean, you've been to some of our meetings even, where we sit down and we'll talk and we'll discuss a project and we'll work out who's doing what. Very, very flat lines of authority and communication are massively important in any creative business. And that's been one of the massive challenges over this whole sort of COVID period. When we pre-COVID used to get a new project coming, we'd all sit around that big wooden table and we'd have a screen going, we'd have post-its on the wall, we'd have people scribbling stuff, we'd all sit around the table, people would throw ideas in, we collaborate, and you come up with a plan, you go away. Now, obviously, with the first lockdown, that stopped. And I actually noticed a deterioration in the quality of our work for a while, because that part went missing. There's a lot you can do over a Zoom call, but there's a lot you can't do. And that's that, just look somebody in the eye and knock an idea backwards and forwards. And that part of the business really suffered. We became, a little more one-dimensional in our approach. And it's okay, that's easy. Let's just do that, because we know how to do that. Because that personal interaction went and we couldn't do it. So when we finally got back to the office, that was a real breath of fresh air for all of us, is to be able to do that.
Let's do the journey. Let's do the journey from 2 years ago now, where you knew that I was starting Retribe, and I was like, really, it was a startup just before pandemic, which was stressful enough. But what was it? So you guys were your business right up until you heard, oh, you guys, there's this thing we're going to be doing lockdown. Yeah. What was that? Let's go through this whole process and we'll talk about what the last 2 years have been like.
So I found an email the other day that I wrote in March of 2020 saying, well, that's okay. So when we're back in the office in June and things are back to normal, we can do this and this and this and this. Now that never happened. So we had to, and I hate using this word, we had to pivot. And we had to reimagine and rethink our business. Unfortunately, that also meant redundancies, which was really hard. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. When you're a small business, your people are your friends. And to sit with somebody who I know where he lives, I know where he eats, I know his wife, and to tell him, sorry, dude, you got to go. That was the hardest thing I've ever done in business. But the survival of the business was the thing that was going to get us out again the other end. One of those people we've now taken back on again. So there you go. We had to change what we did, because obviously we couldn't go out and shoot stuff. There was a massive reliance on stock. There was a massive reliance on animation and animated infographics to get businesses communicating. We took the decision not to go on the front foot like a lot of other production companies did. So they went very front foot. We're here for you. We can help you. We can do this. We can do that.
Right.
We decided not to do that because we thought that, knowing what we'd been through as a business and some of the tough decisions we had to make, if you're a marketeer and you're looking to ensure the survival of your company, you're laying people off, you're losing clients, the last thing you want is somebody selling at you. So we actually made the decision not to do that. And I think coming out of lockdown, I think one of the things that clients are valuing more than ever, apart from creativity and cost and personality, is integrity. And we feel our decision to do what we did was completely vindicated. Although at times, as a business, our revenue was down the toilet. You just weren't. There's nothing out there, so we had to just be smarter. So we knew the clients that we had, we knew the plans they had, so we just helped them reimagine what they wanted to do and how they had to achieve it. So it wasn't sending a crew around someone's house. It was coming up with a way for people to record things on their phone. It was having a local, rather than flying people to places, it's having developing a bit of technology that allows me to see down a camera lens for somebody shooting in San Francisco and look at it on my phone and be able to talk to the interviewer and interviewee at the same time. So it's being inventive, and it's making the most of the skill sets that you have, of your people, of the experience you've gained over the years. But we also found that we developed this very weird ecosystem of friends around the world. When you're in business and you're all in the same business, sometimes you can be really guarded about your clients and about your information and whatever. But we found ourselves reaching out to people in Hong Kong we'd worked with before, say, hey, bud, you remember me? You worked as a freelancer for us a couple of years ago. I need your help. Could you go and shoot this thing for us and send us the rushes and we'll just edit it? And that was a real interesting change of mindset for us, because we've always been quite, that if you've got, and we've had it before where we've had a freelancer out on set and we've caught him handed his business card to the client, and you think it's not the best move really. But to go for that, to putting a degree of trust in people, on a very case-by-case basis and very selective basis, to say, look, I'm going to trust you with my client now. Can you go and do this? Because before, let's get half a job each before we both get no job. So that was a really positive change to come out the whole of lockdown, really, and one that I never anticipated.
So you've seen the last 2 years as obviously your business has evolved a lot, using technology, using innovation, using, I suppose, compassion and understanding and cooperation in
very
a community
so.
of other film and content creators.
Very, very much so.
What's it going to be like moving out of it, Martin? How much is the industry changing, evolving, transforming, that kind of stuff?
Well, I think we're not out of it, and I don't think we'll be out of it for a while. I think I think having agility is really important. We did an interview years ago with this real high up guy at SAP, and we were in what used to be called the Heron Tower. It's now the SAP Tower, right by Liverpool Street Station, the one with the glass lift on the outside, which is not my favorite experience. And we sat there interviewing this guy, and he said something that at the time didn't resonate at all with me. And he said, it used to be that, the big companies eat the small companies. He said, that's not going to happen in the future. He said, the fast companies will eat the slow companies and size won't matter. And that's really true. That's really true. If you've got the ability to change your way of thinking, to change your offering, to change the way you run your business to suit your clients' needs, that's going to get you an awful long way. And it's going to stay with people a long time. People also buy from people, Nick. I'm not going to say that what we do in our company is not the same as what 50 other production companies can do in London. And I put that down fairly and squarely to our ability to build relationships with our people, our clients and our staff and our subcontractors and suppliers as well.
I mentioned the word compassion, and kind of this idea of the moving image world, the film world. When I started, 25 years ago, it was very male dominated, very patriarchal, very structural, very powered down.
Yep.
How have you changed, Martin? How have you changed evolved the last couple of years, you know, how have you become more compassionate? Because I know you are a compassionate man, and I can easily say it because you're my friend. But how have you softened over the years in a way that maybe you wish you could have told, you know, your younger
My younger
Martin?
self, yeah, no, that's a very good point. I think trusting people, I don't, as much as I at certain times in my life have liked to think I have the monopoly on good ideas. That's actually not ever been the case. Letting people express themselves, giving people the platform to do it, giving people a chance. Trying to now spend some of my time giving people who want to get into the industry pointers, mentoring people, letting people fail, I think, is a really important thing. I'm going to get the really broad brush out now and say that, you know, for cynical old hacks like you and I, you know, we've got to here where we are. And you get there by starting here, doing that, and doing a lot of that. And that's where the learning comes. Not there, it's there. And then eventually you get to there. Now, I see it a lot, not only in people that have worked with us, or the people I know, that what they want to do, they want to run from there to there, and then they get that express elevator up to here without doing that bit. And that bit is the thing that makes you professionally, but more importantly, it makes you personally, because you learn failure, you learn empathy, you learn humility, and you learn to listen. And those are all skills that we could all do more of. And I think in the last 10 years, that's become really, really apparent. And over the last 2 years, it's become super apparent that, you know, it's people are inherently different, and that's what makes us strong. And that's what makes us strong as a business and strong as a community, really, because everyone has different things to offer. If we all did the same thing, if we all had the same strengths, it would be a complete non-starter. And I think the recognition of the fact that everyone has something to offer, it may not be what you think it is, that's something that I'm now increasingly mindful of.
Felt it when we met, you know, a couple of years ago, and we got back into each other's lives. And you know, just towards the pandemic, I know that you knew that I was like starting Retribe fully, and I was doing it at a lot of a fear-based thing, you know, like I've got to do this, rather than just being put one foot in front of the other. And I kind of want to say it was a little bit of tough love, I suppose, it was coming out of you towards me. It was just kind of, Nick, you know, you've got to put the food on the table, you've got to do the actions, you've got to do the things, rather than, because I knew I was doing a good thing, kind of these expectations of people will show up for me. Yeah. And this almost entitlement of, if we're coming from things from a good place, then the world owes us something. And I think that was part of my transformation, was really, you got to show up. You've got to put the action in. You've got to do the next right thing. And if you're trying to get involved in this industry that you're involved in, what would be, apart from those kind of action steps, what would you give someone who goes, do you know, I want to be on one of those film sets. I want to be doing one of these things. I want to be in front of the camera. I want to be behind the camera. I want to be an account director. Yeah. You know, how would you kind of guide people, as you say that now that you're a little bit more empathetic, yeah, and you like to mentor people into this very, it seems glamorous, but very hard-working industry.
It's really hard. It's really hard. I mean, it's, and you actually alluded to the answer in your question. We get a dozen unsolicited emails, probably most weeks. Have you got any work experience? Can I come and work for you for nothing? Can I do this? Have you got any? The answer is always no, because I will never, ever expect anybody to work for nothing. I would never, one thing I have learned is I'll never, ever expect anybody to do anything I wouldn't do. And I'm not going to work for nothing. So why should I expect anybody to do that? Irrespective of their place on their career ladder, even if I'm going to give them 50 quid a week to cover their bus fare and buy them lunch, I'd never expect anybody to work for nothing. And our industry, as you know, is famous for that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Famous for it. We get a lot of CVs from people saying, oh, I'm just going to Ravensbourne. I've just come back from Bournemouth, and I'm quite good at, I'm a decent editor. I can shoot. I'm quite good at writing. I'm quite good at this. That's of no use to me whatsoever. Zero use. If you had some work you needed doing at home, and the guy came out and said, yeah, I'm all right at plumbing. I'm not a bad bricklayer. I can do a bit of electrics, whatever. Would you hire him?
Mm-mm.
No. Absolutely, you have to go through all facets of the industry to work out what you want, like I did. And I firmly believe that the better directors are people who have shot, who have cut, who have been a runner, who have produced, because I think you understand all parts of the process. But I think if I was to give one piece of advice to anybody who wants to get into this business, that's to specialize as early as you can. Now, that doesn't mean you then can't change later down the line. Absolutely not, because I know through experience of our own company, we had somebody come to us. He said, I'm a shooter. This is what I do. He's now head of post-production because he actually happened to be much better at doing that. And he's really, really good. And he brings real value, and he now enjoys it. These courses, be it Ravensbourne, be it Bournemouth, be it whatever you do, they will give you a very broad base across the industry. The danger of that is that every CV that arrives on my desk looks exactly the same, and you can't differentiate yourself. We employed somebody once who sent us a letter on our own headed paper saying, I know this job's for me, and I'm writing to you because I can start tomorrow. And we all went, cheeky bugger. Okay, let's get them in. We need to meet. And they got the job, doing something different, standing out. You need to make a pain of yourself. You need to be prepared to go and work on different things. You need to try different things. But number one, you've got to be reliable. We have so many people say, oh yeah, I can do that. I'd like to come and do that. Oh, I can't do Tuesday. So do you want to do it or do you not want to do it? So, you've got to make a pain of yourself. You've got to write letters. You've got to turn up at places. You've got to say, look, can I just come along and watch? I don't want to do anything. I just want to watch. I want to understand, and then give feedback. It's a very two-way process. This, but you have to. I think as the earlier on you can give a prospective employer a direction you want to go in, the better off you'll be. And as I say, maybe that's not where you end up. But yeah, basic stuff, be on time, be presentable, get driving license, really important. And, no one's too big to go get the coffees. I still do it. You do it. Be a team player. All these things that sound really obvious, but are really important because a lot of people just expect the world on a plate these days. And I don't know if we've created that or if it's just the way that the world's going. I don't know. But that would be, sage advice is make yourself stand out, make yourself different, because there's a lot of homogenized product out there in terms of what people are offering.
Amazing advice. And one thing that really popped out to me, though, is the guy go, I'll do anything. Yeah. Can you show up on Tuesday at 7:00? Oh, I can't do that. And that to me, that's the one thing that I'm like, so I think those are all really good sound advice, but make sure you can show up when you need to be show up and when you're asked to show up. And we're just running out of time now, but Martin, I was thinking your business partner is Martin Wise, 2 Martins.
Yeah.
And why did you call yourself G2 and not M2?
Because there's already a production company called M2 for a start. And we were batting ideas around this. Oh, what can we do? We're just 2 guys that make films, just two guys. 5 guys is a hamburger joint. We can't call it that. 2 guys, 2G. 2G sounded like a football pitch. What about G2? And then that's how it happened.
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty dull.
I like it. Martin, what about your beloved Arsenal? Are we gonna finish?
Yeah, mate.
Top 4?
I don't know. I'm really pleased we stuck with Arteta. I was one of the ones that was starting to waver. I'm really glad we stuck with him. I love our youth policy. I love the place. I love the fact that the ESR and Saka are the guys winning us games now. I think we need to unload Aubameyang. I don't know who's going to take him for the money he wants. But why do we get this at the Arsenal? Why do we get players that say, no, I'm not so sure, I want to go? We had it with Ashley Cole. We had it with Vieira. We had it with Fabregas. We had it with Van Persie. As soon as a player shows signs of doing that, I think they need to go because they poison the dressing room. It causes upset with the fact, I know you're going to get loads of letters now. Send them to him, don't send them to me.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know who's going to take him for that money, but I think that our policy of youth, our policy of bringing big players in, there's this new guy who's meant to be the new Haaland who we've got our eyes on apparently, that we're going to give Torreira and a load of cash for. I think Lacazette's undervalued. I think he's a great player. I think we should do what we could do to keep him. Yeah, I think this year, top 6, I'd be happy. Next year, top 4.
Sounds good. I'd be happy with the top 4 this year, though.
As long as it beats Spuds, that's all I want to do.
Yeah, exactly. Martin, thank you so much for joining me today. Make sure maybe the next time we can see in person, definitely a lunch, you and Martin on me, and maybe at a Gunners game.
Absolute pleasure. Really love to see you as always, Nick.
And you, thank you so much for joining me, and thanks everybody at the community for joining us today. Don't forget to join me at 11 a.m. on Thursday for our Tough Through Tender workshop. Thanks for joining us. See everybody later. And again, thanks, Martin. Take care, buddy.
Cheers. Bye.